Life has often been described as unpredictable, but when seen through the lens of a spiritual game, it takes on a very different meaning. In a game, there are rules, strategies, and moves that determine success. The same is true for life. Nothing that happens to us is truly accidental. Every event, every challenge, and every blessing is part of a larger system of universal laws. These laws respond to our thoughts, words, and actions, shaping the direction of our journey, whether we realize it or not. When a person plays a game without knowing the rules, they make mistakes, grow frustrated, and feel defeated. In life, the same pattern appears when we live unconsciously, reacting to circumstances instead of understanding how to navigate them. But once we recognize that life is governed by spiritual principles, we gain clarity and control. Each thought we hold is like a move on the game board. Each word we speak sets a new course. Every action carries energy that eventually returns to us in kind. The lesson is simple. When we play with awareness, intention, and discipline, we increase our chances of success, harmony, and fulfillment. Florence Scovel Shinn and many other teachers have emphasized that this perspective shifts us from being victims of circumstance to active participants in creation. Life is not something happening to us. It is something we are actively shaping with every choice we make. Just as a skilled player adapts to challenges, we too can respond to setbacks not with despair, but with strategy and wisdom. Every difficulty becomes a chance to grow stronger, to learn a better move, and to progress further in the game. This understanding also brings a sense of responsibility. We can no longer blame fate, chance, or luck when things go wrong, because we realize that our inner state and outward actions are deeply connected to our results. This truth is liberating because it places the power back into our hands. By aligning with the laws of the game, laws of faith, intention, and positive creation, we begin to play consciously and skillfully. Life transforms from a confusing struggle into a purposeful journey where every moment is an opportunity to win, not against others, but against our own limitations. The game of life, then, is not about chance, but about mastery, mastery of thought, mastery of words, and mastery of action guided by spiritual law. One of the most powerful truths about the game of life is that our thoughts and words are not empty or meaningless. They are creative forces that shape the very experiences we live through. Every thought that we allow to linger in our mind plants a seed, and every word we speak waters that seed, bringing it closer to manifestation. This is why so many people find themselves repeating the same cycles of struggle or success. They are simply living the harvest of the words they have sown and the thoughts they have nurtured. When we speak negatively, even casually, we send out vibrations that attract situations in harmony with those words. A person who constantly says, "I can't do this," or "nothing ever works out for me," is unconsciously programming their reality to reflect those very statements. The universe does not filter what we say, it simply mirrors it back. On the other hand, when we consciously choose to speak words of faith, strength, and possibility, we redirect energy in our favor. Affirmations like, "I am guided," "I am capable," and "everything I need is coming to me at the right time," are not just feel-good phrases. They are commands that align our subconscious mind with higher truth. This alignment is what brings opportunities, resources, and people into our path. The same principle applies to our thoughts. A mind filled with doubt, worry, and fear cannot expect to produce peace, joy, or prosperity. But a mind trained to focus on abundance, gratitude, and confidence creates circumstances that reflect those qualities. Mastering our inner dialogue is therefore one of the most important moves in the game of life. It requires awareness, because most of us speak without realizing the weight of our words. It requires discipline, because replacing old patterns with new affirmations takes practice. And it requires faith, because words spoken without belief carry little power. When thought and word unite with conviction, however, they become unstoppable creative tools. The moment we begin to guard our speech and discipline our thinking, we stop playing the game blindly and start playing with intention. We stop feeding energy into limitations and instead channel it into possibilities. Over time, this conscious practice transforms not only how we see ourselves but also how life responds to us. The creative power of thoughts and words reminds us that we are never helpless. We are creators, and every day we are given the chance to write a new script for our lives with the words we choose to speak and the thoughts we choose to hold. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that can hold a person back in the game of life. But Florence Scovel Shinn reminds us that it is also one of the easiest to overcome when replaced with faith. Fear operates like a shadow. It has no real substance of its own, yet it appears overwhelming when we give it attention. People often fail not because they lacked talent or opportunity, but because fear convinced them to stop before they even began. Fear whispers that we are not ready, not strong enough, or not worthy of success, and those who listen become trapped in hesitation. But faith, on the other hand, is the force that transforms hesitation into action and doubt into certainty. Faith is the courage to step forward when the path is unclear, trusting that the ground will rise to meet us. It is the inner knowing that life is guided by divine order, even when our limited perspective cannot yet see how. When we choose faith over fear, we shift the energy of our lives completely. Instead of attracting obstacles, we begin to attract solutions. Instead of seeing problems, we start noticing opportunities. Shinn emphasizes that fear and faith cannot exist together. One will always cancel the other. That means every moment we spend feeding fear is a moment we weaken our creative power, but every moment we strengthen faith, we unlock new possibilities. To cultivate faith, we must learn to reframe challenges. Instead of viewing setbacks as proof of failure, we can see them as tests of our belief. Life asks us in those moments, will you surrender to fear, or will you trust that something greater is unfolding? Those who choose faith discover that doors open, resources appear, and people show up at the right time. Shinn also highlights the importance of using affirmations and prayer to feed faith and starve fear. By declaring with conviction, I walk in faith, not fear, or I am divinely guided and protected, we align our minds with a higher reality and weaken fear's influence. Over time, faith becomes more than just a belief. It becomes a way of life. It allows us to move through uncertainty with peace instead of anxiety, with confidence instead of doubt. In the end, fear only leads to paralysis, while faith leads to progress. Choosing faith over fear is not just an idea but a daily practice, and it is one of the most essential rules for winning the game of life. One of the most important truths in the game of life is that we are never left without guidance. Florence Scovel Shinn explains that each of us has been given intuition, an inner compass that connects us directly to divine wisdom. Unlike logic, which depends on facts, evidence, and past experiences, intuition sees further than the human mind can grasp. It provides insights, nudges, and inner promptings that quietly lead us toward the right choices and away from unnecessary struggle. The challenge is that many people ignore this guidance because it often comes as a whisper rather than a shout. We doubt it, second, guess it, or dismiss it as imagination, only to later realize that our first inner feeling was correct. Shinn reminds us that to play the game of life successfully, we must learn to trust this inner voice. When we listen, life begins to flow more easily. Opportunities present themselves at the right time, and even obstacles become redirections towards something better. Divine order works silently but consistently, arranging circumstances in ways we could never have planned ourselves. Trusting this process requires patience because guidance does not always reveal the entire path at once. Often, we are only shown the next step, and we must walk in faith before the rest becomes clear. To strengthen our connection with intuition, Shinn encourages practices such as silence, prayer, and affirmations. These quiet the noise of the outer world and help us hear the gentle direction of the inner world. As we act on intuition, even in small ways, our confidence in it grows, and soon it becomes a reliable source of direction in every area of life. Another key lesson she highlights is that divine guidance never leads to fear or confusion. It brings peace, even if the path feels challenging. This is how we distinguish intuition from mere emotion or impulse. When we feel that deep sense of calm certainty, we know we are aligned with divine order. Shinn also teaches that what looks like a delay or disappointment may, in truth, be divine protection steering us away from something not meant for us. With this understanding, we stop fighting circumstances and begin flowing with them, trusting that every turn is guiding us closer to our true purpose. In the game of life, intuition is like a secret advantage. Those who use it walk with clarity, while those who ignore it often struggle unnecessarily. By honoring intuition and trusting divine order, we align ourselves with a higher plan that ensures not only success but also peace of mind. This alignment is the key to playing the game of life with wisdom and grace.